members of our Congress, you will always have, within our government, those that are above the law. Hey, it's me. Now, in the past, you heard me talk about how the Mueller probe is not just an extension of Spygate to go after Trump. The Mueller probe also serves to cover the tracks for the crimes of the Clintons and Choco, but especially, of course, the Clintons. Now, if you look at the probe, the first thing he did was he went to visit Christopher Steele, the ex-MI6 guy that put together the Trump dossier. Not to indict him or anything like that, but to come up with a cover story and to protect him. And to see if in the future, if anything happens, then Robert Mueller can come in and save the day. Right after that, he goes to the Podesta brothers, Tony and John, and he tells them to get their papers in order, because right after that he goes after Manafort for not having his papers in order. And the same company, the same Ukrainian, everything's the same, but he gives the Podestas a heads up to fix their papers. He doesn't indict them, but he goes after Paul Manafort instead. Then he comes back, he goes after Russian trolls. And we're talking about trolls that were against Hillary, but also they were promoting Bernie Sanders, not only Trump. But you see troll farms being attacked by Robert Mueller. And you notice that, all of these things are connected to the Clintons. You had Hillary complaining about, online trolls going against her and all of that. And, of course, Russian spies, the ghost indictments, or Russian intelligence officers, and it's just for show, to be honest. And Michael Flynn is a whole separate story. That's really the first thing they did, and that is because they really wanted to squeeze the guy, but they kind of messed up. McCabe and Strzok kind of messed up. They really got him, though, to admit that he lied when he did not. But that whole story also smells. You had Choco telling President-elect Trump to watch out for Michael Flynn, that he was a bad guy. And that in itself means that Michael Flynn is probably a good guy. But if you look at the way they're operating, they're going against key players. But I really see that they're covering up for Hillary Clinton, going after her enemies, of course, Trump being number one, getting rid of people that helped Trump, and all of this to kind of clear the obstacles so that Hillary could run again or she will not be indicted, and you see that protection. I believe that getting Lisa Page and Peter Strzok on the Mueller team was an attempt to protect them from any kind of investigation or prosecution, because Mueller knew that they were deeply involved in letting Hillary go, fixing the so-called investigation of the email server. And if you look at Robert Mueller, in the past, after Benghazi, he was the one going to Libya, to Benghazi, to investigate, which really means, again, he was covering up or covering the tracks for Hillary Clinton and also Choco. Like I always say, he's a fixer. Now, a made member, Javier, at the Trump MAFIA headquarters, was asking, what if he's going to the Middle East now to cover up for the Iran deal and tying up any loose ends, covering tracks, or making it the Trump administration or the rest of the DOJ cannot really investigate. And I agree. That would probably be the reason. Of course, also to find something on Trump. But considering also the whole Khashoggi story and MBS, it could well be that the Democrats in the deep state want to use Mueller to also go after MBS, to start investigating the Saudis and MBS himself, and trying to create a hard time for President Trump to maintain good relations with MBS. And so it is very clear that MBS seems to be a thorn in the side of the deep state and the Democratic Party. And why? Well, what happened in 2017, MBS arrested like 200 billionaires, many of them very rich people that were giving a lot of money to Democrats and that financed 25% of Hillary's campaign in 2016. 25%. A fourth was just Saudi money, a couple of billionaires over there. And so MBS puts them in a kind of jail in the Ritz. And some of them were hung upside down and beaten with sticks and God knows what. And suddenly the funding dried up for the Democratic Party and also Hillary and the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton. So what is happening now? They send Mueller over because MBS seems to be a problem for them because the money's cut off. And so that's the real reason why he's suddenly focusing on the Middle East. It has nothing to do with Russia collusion, and it has nothing to do even with the campaign. But as you know, Mueller is there not about Russia collusion because they know it did not happen. It's an excuse just to handicap the president. And if they can find something, great. But also, and that's what I'm saying right now, is that Mueller is covering up for the Clintons, tying up loose ends, as well as going after people that abandoned the Democrats. Now, I also have a side theory, and this one is just my guess or my guesstimate, and that is, for some reason, Democrats have completely allied themselves with Iran. And of course, it's because of Choco and the Iranian gargoyle, the real president. Those 8 years, Valerie Jarrett, she was born in Iran. And so, if you look at the Iran deal, a lot of bribes were given to a lot of people in the media and people in Congress, you can guess that. And even in the right media, as soon as President Trump bombs Assad or anyone related to Iran, you have even people in the right media starting to criticize Trump. It's almost like they're puppets of the Iranian regime. And of course the whole left is pro-Iran, which means their arch enemy, Saudi Arabia, becomes their arch enemy. If on top of that, MBS is putting these Democrat donors in jail, they send over Mueller. And it's this international pressure against MBS. And still this stupid Khashoggi story doesn't go away. It's like, why are they like force-feeding this old story to us every day now? Still. I mean, the guy's gone. He's dissolved, right? So can the story be dissolved as well? And Mueller is really an operator. And, even in 2009, when Choco just became president, he used Mueller to negotiate with a Russian billionaire to release a hostage that was held in Iran. And that's not a typical job that you would expect an FBI director to do. I mean, what is that? Is he in the CIA? Is he Jason Bourne? Is he Johnny English? A very old Johnny English, Robert Mueller. And he's there, hunched over, and he can barely walk. I mean, the guy's so old. And he's incompetent. So, sometimes I always feel like Robert Mueller is picked because he's dumb, but he's also corrupt. And that's what you need. You need a dummy that's corrupt, because intelligent people wouldn't get in that deep. But Robert Mueller is really like a tool. I mean, he's like a douche, a tool. I mean, everything you think about idiots that are easily bought, and go over there and do this, and go over there and do that. And he does it. I mean, he's so corrupt. He's like a tool of the establishment. And he has no pride, seemingly. But it's about the money. You know, he's getting paid a lot. And, you know, he has his second win. He feels young again. And he feels like he can do something really historic. But he doesn't even realize that he's engaging in treason. I mean, these are treasonous, traitorous activities, subversive even. And he's part of a criminal cabal. And it always comes down to the Clinton Foundation. And, of course, you have the satellites around that, and that is Choco, the Iranian gargoyle, and a whole host of other people who are getting paid a lot of money. And so Mueller may be taking money on the side. I don't know. Could be. Probably. And maybe he also got a nice juicy payout from the Iran deal and the Uranium One deal, which is another motivation for Robert Mueller to really cover everything up, because he was deeply, very deeply involved in Uranium One, as you know. But this whole pivot to now focus on the Middle East, it's obvious that he's doing the bidding for Iran, the Clinton Foundation, Choco, and the Iranian gargoyle, and on behalf of billionaires in Saudi Arabia, who I call the Democrat donors. They want MBS gone, just like they want Trump gone. I mean, these people are really like maniacs. And some of them are very clever. You know, Bill Clinton's being pretty much out of sight, which means that he's really deeply involved. And the people that are up front are usually the tools, the idiots, the buffoons, the corrupt foot soldiers. And that's Robert Mueller, for example. And so finally, and it turns out like my commentaries are all kind of coming together in this video. I mean, a couple of videos contributed to this video, I guess, because it's in my head. I'm just connecting the pieces right now together with you guys. And that is, you have John Kerry, Hillary going to India, which is now like a major donor because, you know, Saudi Arabia, you know the drill. China drying up because of President Trump's good relationship with President Xi. And Russia, I don't think that Democrats are in a position right now to get a lot of money from Russia. That would look pretty odd, considering, right? So India. So you see them always going to India. Choco went to India. And I think Michael Obama went there. And now Hillary and Lurch. And it's about money. But more than that, they're going around to all these countries and basically telling them, just wait, Trump's going to be removed. Don't worry, just start talking to us. You know, this headache will be gone soon. And they're hoping that because of Mueller and their whole plan. Even Mueller thinks that, yeah, he's going to be the one that's going to help remove Trump. And then the shadow government can become the government eventually. And, you know, elections, they can always cheat. And if Trump's not there, they have a better chance. And so it's all about the waiting game. And so they're doing everything to get rid of Trump. And, of course, they're hoping for 2020. Because if they have to wait until 2024, I mean, that's the end of the second term. What's the use, right? You wasted another 4 years. So 2019 is going to be very tough. You're going to see a lot of disgusting behavior by not only liberals, but by Mueller and other people. I mean, they really want Trump out. And I feel like if they're going to get really desperate, they're going to start attacking Ivanka, because they know that that really hits Trump very hard. But they also understand that if they go that way, the blowback's going to be enormous. And so they can poke the lion and keep on poking him. But then one day, something will happen. And, you know, it's a lion. It's the Lion King. It's Donald the Great. Not to be underestimated. And Mueller, really, he's a no one. Like I said, he's a tool. He's an incompetent buffoon. So he's always hiding, because if you interview the guy, he's a complete idiot. A bumbling fool. Like an absent-minded professor who doesn't know a thing about anything. And it's sad that this kind of a guy is given so much power. So he stays there in the background, and he has the image, and ooh, Mueller. But yeah, he can go after innocents, people that don't have that much money, and hurt them. Even like a war hero like Michael Flynn and others. I mean, it's disgusting. Like I said, he's a sadist. So yeah, it's obvious the Clinton Foundation, and thus the Clintons, have a very big influence on many people in the FBI and the DOJ still. It's massive corruption. And I wonder who's still there that's on the payroll or has some kind of an allegiance to the Clintons that they would help to cover up. Mueller is obviously one of them, and everyone on the Mueller team. But who else? Who else is still there at the FBI and the DOJ that is on the Clinton payroll? Now, Yvonne, made member at the Trump Mafia headquarters, double D, double M. Yvonne was asking if the Clintons still have influence with the CIA. Now, I made a video talking about how the CIA, because of Five Eyes and just the nature of people that were hired over the last decades, it's going to be pretty globalist and seeing eye to eye with European nations, the European Union, and Australia and countries like that, that they don't have that America First type vision, and that is slowly changing. But of course, if you have the Bush family and the Clintons, and then also Choco and his people loading up the CIA with globalists that don't put America first, and who knows, some Muslim Brotherhood people, you just never know with Choco and the Iranian gargoyle, that maybe the Clintons do still have an influence on the CIA, and it would be sad. But I think even by itself, the CIA would be pretty left-wing, globalist, and anti-Trump. And I mean in general. Now, of course, the CIA does do some good work, and I like Gina, and Trump likes Gina. I mean, she's hardcore, and she's America First. But the rest of the people, it's just like the FBI. You don't know who is really on the payroll of the Clintons, because the Clinton Foundation, it's been there so long, and we're talking about billions of dollars over the years. The corruption runs very deep in every department, especially the State Department, and as I mentioned, the DOJ and the FBI. So the CIA, I don't really know, but it is remarkable how the CIA came out big time against MBS and Khashoggi, which is really not in sync with President Trump, who's certainly not defending MBS, but he's also not, issuing a fatwa on MBS like Lindsey Graham and some of the other people, because Saudi Arabia is a better ally than anyone else, except for Israel, of course. But can you imagine being allied with Iran? Yet that is what the Choco administration was doing, sending them $150 billion. I mean, realigning the whole Middle East, siding with a terrorist nation that chants death to America every day. That's not Saudi Arabia, that's Iran. Now, you know the story about Choco working with the DOJ to have the DEA stand down when they were hot on the trail of Hezbollah leaders in our nation, dealing drugs and running prostitution rings. Every time the DEA got close to Hezbollah leaders to arrest them, orders came from high above at the DOJ to stand down. And that's because of Choco and the Iranian gargoyle. So think of it, Hezbollah in our nation running drugs, and you have the president of our nation at that time, Choco, having the DOJ tell the DEA to stand down, not to arrest these Hezbollah leaders. I mean, think of it. But then if you realize that Mueller and Choco were sending automatic weapons across the border to drug cartels, then anything is possible. And as you know, I believe that the CIA in the Choco administration with John Brennan, they were running guns to Syria. And Benghazi had a CIA compound. I mean, why? I mean, that's kind of odd, right? Because they were using Libya to ship guns to Syria. And I think Mueller was one of the people to cover the tracks for that and to intimidate people to be quiet about it. And there's so many more things that the Choco administration did, that the Clintons did, or that Hillary did while at the State Department, that we don't even know about yet. And it seems to me they're hiding something that is very big, that I don't even have any idea of what it could be, but there's so much more. And I wonder how much of it Trump knows, because even though he's really good at, playing the part of being in the here and now, Trump is like years ahead in his thinking, and he knows so much. But he's great at playing poker. I mean, he's not going to tell anybody, but he knows so much about Choco, about Hillary, about the CIA, about everybody. And he's just not letting people know. Because he's a master strategist and tactician, and his timing is impeccable. And so all those doubters out there, whether they're people on the left or part-time Trump supporters, I pity these fools that don't understand Donald the Great. I pity them, because I have so much faith in Donald the Great, not because it's just out of the blue, but if time and time and time again Donald Trump comes out with the wins, as he does, at some point you're going to have to realize that you're dealing with a genius here. And so the deep state, Mueller, who's a tool, dinky Hillary, and the dying Bill Clinton, who doesn't have it anymore. I mean, he's not sharp anymore, but he's still just as evil. And Choco and the Iranian gargoyle, these people are nothing compared to Donald the Great. Nothing. I mean, they're little ants and cockroaches. And so I don't worry about these things, but it does concern me that we don't have a media with honest reporters, because they could uncover so much stuff. But no, they're all left-wing, or they're kind of corporate, and they don't want to cause a ruckus. But if we had some real reporters that were investigating, I mean, like, 20 or 50, and we're talking about, like in the movies, right? People that really go out there and investigate, we would know so much more. But we also know that those people would be assassinated pretty quickly, because we're dealing with a lot of money here. We're talking about guns, we're talking about drugs, we're talking about Iran, we're talking about Hezbollah, and we're talking about a lot of nefarious people giving to the Clinton Foundation, and they have money invested. So all of them, they really have an interest in seeing Trump go, and of course the Democrat Party as well, and the deep state. Seems like all of these people just want Trump to go. But Trump is very popular with the people, and so that is what really matters in our nation. Just like the founding of our nation, the establishment was against an independence for Americans. And so what? It didn't matter. We just did it. And so again, we're just going to do it. And so Trump is the man. and we are the backup. We are the people.